They will tell you to dream big. They will tell you to visualize your success, to feel it, to affirm it. But no one tells you the truth, that the bridge between your vision and your reality is paved with one thing: discipline. Not the sexy kind, not the hustle culture buzzword, but the ancient, raw, untouchable force that lives in the spine of every great man and woman who has ever touched greatness. Discipline is the invisible lever that controls the visible world. You don't need more motivation. You don't need more time. You don't need more luck. You need to decide and follow through, especially when you don't feel like it. This is the war most people never win, not because they're weak, but because they were raised in a world that worships ease and fears effort. But the truth? Ease is a trap disguised as a gift, and effort, sustained, focused, relentless effort, is the price of every meaningful reward. You want freedom? You want wealth? You want self-respect? Then build a spine of steel, because everything you want sits behind a wall of repetition, resistance, and temporary boredom. And the only way through that wall is discipline. Muhammad Ali once said, "I hated every minute of training, but I said, don't quit. Suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion." That's not a quote. It's a code. You're not supposed to enjoy every second of the grind. You're supposed to do it anyway, because champions don't chase feelings. They follow a vision that's bigger than their moods. They submit themselves to discomfort because they understand one thing: discipline is not punishment, it's liberation. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, every time you choose repetition over randomness, you are not depriving yourself, you are forging yourself. You are cutting through the fog of doubt with the knife of commitment. And in that cutting, you become sharp, precise, dangerous to mediocrity. Think of a sculptor. He doesn't strike the stone once and walk away. He returns day after day, not because it's exciting, but because the masterpiece demands it. That's what life is. You are the sculptor. Your habits are the hammer. Your life is the marble. And if you do not return daily, not when you feel like it, but every day, the masterpiece never emerges. Discipline is what converts invisible potential into visible power. It is not just about routines. It's not just about saying no to bad habits. It's about saying yes to a higher version of you, and then proving every day that you're serious. You think Steve Jobs was chasing balance when he built Apple? You think Edison was worried about burnout when he failed 10,000 times to invent the light bulb? No, they were possessed. Not by motivation, but by purpose and discipline, which are two sides of the same coin. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the firewood. Without discipline, the fire dies as quickly as it was lit. But with discipline, you become unstoppable. Not because you're always inspired, but because you've trained your nervous system to obey your vision more than your emotions. And that right there is power. The world is ruled by those who've mastered themselves. Not the loudest, not the luckiest, not the ones with the best genetics or the biggest networks, but the ones who chose to wake up every day and fight the inner war and win. Because make no mistake, the greatest enemy you'll ever face is not poverty. It's not rejection. It's not fear. It's comfort. Comfort is the silent killer. It whispers, "You deserve a break." It says, "You've done enough," promises you pleasure, and robs you of greatness. Discipline, on the other hand, is a brutal friend. It doesn't coddle you. It doesn't flatter you, but it builds you. It drags you out of bed when no one's watching. It makes you put in the reps when there's no applause. It silences the voice of self-doubt by drowning it in consistent action. And when everyone else folds under the weight of excuses, you rise. People talk about manifestation as if it's magic. It's not. Manifestation is discipline applied to belief. You don't get what you want because you think about it. You get what you want because you back it with a level of action that makes the universe move. Edison didn't wait for inspiration. He worked, and when he failed, he didn't stop. When others laughed, he stayed in the lab. And after thousands of attempts, he lit the world on fire because he was too disciplined to quit. You think you've tried enough? You haven't even begun. Discipline doesn't count the failures. Discipline only counts the hours. And when the hours are full, the results come, whether you're tired, uninspired, or afraid. Imagine this. There are two versions of you. One is a slave to feelings. He only works when he's excited. He needs motivation. He starts, he stops. He rewrites the plan every week. He wants freedom, but his habits trap him in a cage. The other is a warrior of routine. He trains the same muscles day after day. He doesn't negotiate with the alarm clock. He doesn't explain himself to people who gave up on themselves. He chooses to earn freedom rather than chase it. And over time, the world begins to feel the difference. One becomes forgotten. The other becomes a force. Which one are you building today? Because here's the brutal truth. Your future is being shaped in silence. Not by what you say you'll do, but by what you consistently do when no one is watching. Discipline is destiny. And every time you skip the gym, you're not just missing a workout, you're casting a vote for the version of you that stays small. Every time you hit snooze, you're teaching yourself that your goals don't matter. But when you rise early, when you make the call, when you stick to the script, especially when you don't feel like it, you're carving new lines into your identity. You are saying, I am not the product of my past. I am the architect of my future. And the blueprint is built with one tool: discipline. You don't need more time. You need more decisions. You need to decide that you're done negotiating with weakness, that you're done giving into the lie that tomorrow will be better. Because there is no perfect moment. There's only now. This raw, uncomfortable, silent now, where no one's cheering and no one's watching. Only you. You and the voice that says, show me who you really are. And in that moment, you either rise or you rot. Discipline is not about being in control. It's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't need to be rescued. It's about waking up every day and choosing pain with purpose over pleasure without progress. Look at anyone who's built something lasting. Carnegie, Ford, Disney, Oprah. They all had the same 24 hours. They all had doubts, critics, fears, delays, failures. But they didn't bow to emotion. They bowed to a standard, a code, a law. And that law was discipline. Want to change your life? Forget motivation. Forget inspiration. Forget waiting to feel ready. Train your nervous system to obey your higher self. The one who wakes up before the sun. The one who eats with intention. The one who reads instead of scrolling. The one who writes the vision every single day. That's how you win the invisible war. Because here's the secret. You are not what you say. You are not what you feel. You are what you do repeatedly. The man who disciplines himself to think clearly under pressure becomes a leader. The woman who trains her body when no one claps becomes unshakable. The creator who shows up daily, even when no one watches, becomes legendary. Your habits are the software of your destiny, and discipline is the daily download. Every time you show up despite resistance, you're telling life, I am worthy of more. But every time you give in, shrink back, make an excuse, you reinforce the story that you were never enough. So ask yourself, is the way you're living today worthy of the future you say you want? Because you don't get what you wish for, you get what you work for, bleed for, sacrifice for, stay consistent for. This world doesn't reward the loudest. It rewards the most relentless. And those who are relentless aren't born that way. They are built in quiet, lonely moments of pain. They are the ones who trained when it was boring, who practiced when it was uncomfortable, who kept going when nobody noticed. That's the invisible grind, and it's where the real power lives. You will never rise higher than the standards you enforce when no one is watching. Because success doesn't come from the days you feel like a machine. It's born from the days you feel broken and still choose to build. Discipline is bleeding without whining. It's hurting without hiding. It's standing in the fire without screaming for rescue. Do you understand how rare that is? In a world addicted to ease, speed, and comfort, the one who trains themselves to delay gratification becomes a superhuman. Not because they're faster, not because they're smarter, but because they can suffer longer than the average man can stay focused. That's the edge, and that edge compounds. The small workouts you do when no one sees, the hours of deep work when your friends are distracted, the nights you spend in solitude instead of in noise, all of it stacks. It builds the identity of a finisher, a winner, person who doesn't just dream, but executes. History doesn't remember the almost, it remembers the disciplined. It doesn't care about your goals, it measures your grind. Thomas Edison, he didn't invent the light bulb by luck. He failed over 1,000 times, refining relentlessly because he was obsessed with finishing. That's not intelligence. That's not talent. That's discipline married to obsession. You want wealth? Build the discipline to keep showing up after rejection. You want respect? Build the discipline to become reliable under pressure. You want mastery? Build the discipline to sacrifice short-term dopamine for long-term dominance. There is no hack, no shortcut, except discipline. And the cruel trick is this: discipline looks hard in the beginning, but in the end, it's the easiest life of all. Because pain is coming either way. The pain of regret, or the pain of growth, the pain of excuses, or the pain of execution. Choose, because every time you choose discipline over distraction, you're making a declaration: I will not die average. I will not live on my knees begging for miracles while refusing to train for them. I will become the kind of person success is forced to follow. That's the level. And that level is not found in motivation videos. It's not found in seminars, journals, or lucky breaks. It's found in the small, quiet, ruthless decisions you make with yourself. So let today be your turning point. Let it be the funeral of your old excuses. Let it be the birth of the most powerful version of you. Not the loudest, not the strongest, but the one who disciplines their mind like a warrior, their body like a temple, and their habits like an architect chiseling the blueprint of greatness. Because that's the shortcut. That's the only shortcut. And now you know it. Discipline is not about punishment. It's about precision, about becoming a sculptor of your own future, chiseling away every lazy impulse, every fleeting distraction, every cheap thrill that robs you of depth and meaning. Look at Michelangelo. When asked how he carved David from a slab of marble, he said, "I just removed everything that wasn't him." That's discipline. It's not always about adding more effort, more hustle, more work. Sometimes it's about removing the junk, the noise, the habits that sabotage, the people that drain, the versions of you that are keeping you average. Most people never rise, not because they don't know how, but because they're afraid of what they'll have to let go of. But the truth is, you can't stay who you are and become who you want to be. Read that again. You cannot stay who you are and become who you want to be. Something has to die for something greater to be born. And discipline is that death. The death of comfort. The death of convenience. the death of being liked more than being legendary. Discipline turns ordinary people into forces of nature. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care where you're from, what your parents did, or what your past looks like. It only asks, will you show up? Will you show up when it's boring? When it's lonely? When no one's clapping? That's where greatness is hiding, in the repetition, in the grind, in the hours that don't go viral. Because the truth is, success is not the mountain peak. It's every single step no one saw. And discipline is your rope, your boots, your grip. It's what keeps you climbing when most are turning back, sliding down, or sitting still. And let me tell you something raw and real. You will feel pain either way. You will suffer either the pain of discipline or the lifelong torment of, what if I had just tried harder? The question is, which pain will you choose to live with? Because the shortcut to everything you want is simple, brutal, and beautiful. Do the work. Do it relentlessly. Do it when it's hard. Do it when it's quiet. Do it when the world is watching, and especially when it's not. Success is not a mystery, it's a pattern. And the most successful people in history, they all had one thing in common: discipline that bordered on obsession. Think about Kobe Bryant, shooting 1,000 free throws before practice even began. Think about Elon Musk, sleeping in the Tesla factory to meet deadlines. Think about Oprah, reading, journaling, preparing before the world ever cared. They didn't get lucky, they got serious. And so must you. Discipline is the quiet architect behind every masterpiece the world has ever praised. Behind every stadium cheer, every billion-dollar idea, every historic speech. There was a morning when someone got up tired and did the work anyway. That's the real secret. Not motivation, not talent, not timing, but obedience to your own standards. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And systems are born from discipline, from structure, from sacred routines you protect like your life depends on them, because in a way it does. You see, undisciplined freedom is just another kind of prison. When you wake up late, scroll endlessly, break your promises, and drift aimlessly, do you feel free? Or do you feel heavy, chained, weak? Now think about the opposite. The early riser, the planner, the one who says no to cheap dopamine and yes to the higher road. That's real freedom, the kind that makes your soul feel clean, the kind that builds confidence in your own eyes. Discipline isn't a restriction. It's the foundation for the kind of life most people only fantasize about. Because the universe responds to order. Look around. The planets don't crash into each other by accident. The tides move with rhythmic consistency. A seed becomes a tree through a process, one that never skips steps. So why do you think you can skip steps and still succeed? Nature rewards the disciplined. The farmer doesn't plant in spring and harvest in summer by hoping. He follows the rules. He honors the season. He respects the law of the land. And in your life, the same law applies. If you don't plant when it's time to plant, if you don't water when it's time to water, don't cry when you have nothing to reap. Discipline is spiritual, because every time you override your lower self, the lazy voice, the scared voice, the small voice, you get closer to the version of you that was written in the stars. That version is not just rich, it's not just fit, it's not just successful. It's awake, it's aligned, it's unstoppable. And the bridge between where you are and where that version lives is called daily, ruthless, non-negotiable, beautifully boring, soul-sharpening discipline. Show up, no matter how you feel, because kings don't wait to feel ready. They act from commitment. And queens? They don't beg for motivation. They wake up and move like royalty, whether the crowd is watching or not.